they talk, Afro music they for top. Everybody go say yeah. Now they know we no go stop. Everything we touch be hot. Everybody go say yeah. Ready or not, we go to come with the wicked sound. Be ready for more. We go to kill them with the wicked sound. Now master come town today. It no be easy for them. The thing we not they bring. Now him they know it no be joke. The road that they take we make. Now they say them be kings. Now we know say only God be our king. Oh. From Nima to Labadi, we are go kill them with the wicked sound. We go to tell everybody. We go to kill them with the wicked sound. We know they rush nobody. We know they follow nobody. We go to rock your body. Oh, oh, oh yeah. Ready or not, we go to come with the wicked sound. Be ready for more. We go to kill them with the wicked sound. Abochina so say, Magana dunia ina teta say, Waya seni gobe, na lokwala mbaki yo. Na iwa kandadi, Sekaila wakabani, Uniani American, and you me to my wo. They know we are in a hurry, we are go kill them with the wicked sound. Now we feature come easy. We go to kill them with the wicked sound. We know they rush nobody. We know they follow nobody. We go to rock your body. Oh, 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 oh. We know they rush nobody. We know they follow nobody. We go to rock your body. Oh, oh, oh. Hey, Afro music comes to town. Every music just a frown. From the beginning of time, now it be the foundation. You know that I know. Daddy Rocky comes to town with a whole vibration. I want to give up the do. Kill him with the wicked sound. Alright now, come in at the party, make you tell you what I want. Skank to the rhythm and the African drum. Call out everybody, make you sound the Allah. Palm wine we are drink. Nobody not the home and nobody not run. Rock to the rhythm, we say all night long. Gas up the fire and it can't die down. Never ever die down. Ready or not? Whoa, whoa. Be ready for more. We go to kill them with the wicked sound, yeah. Ready or not? Whoa. Be ready for more. We go to kill them with the wicked sound. Let go your head, let go your heart, let go your soul. I move my feet, you move your feet, we move away. We go to kill them with the wicked sound. Hey, whoa, whoa, whoa. Kill them with the wicked sound. A champion arise, we shall win. Champion arise, we shall win. Whoa, whoa, whoa. We're stronger and alive, we shall win. Let another spiritual war begin. They'll say it could not be done until they see it done. They'll say it could not be you until you know it's you, my friend. My friend. When the humble pop your bubble, they don't ever see it come. They tumble to the magic of the word and the sound forever. That's my belief. Now they come around and asking who that. the children of Judah, breaker of the chain and the ruler. Everybody sing it, everybody saying, let me hear you say it. A champion arise, we shall win. A champion arise, we shall win. Whoa, we're stronger and alive, we shall win. Let another spiritual war begin. Don't you believe everything that you be told? You can be born for shekels, see that with silver and gold. Cross the land, I know that my story will be told. Coming from the young and coming from the old. Tell it to the hills and the mountains to the west. We conquered every fear. Oh, now they come around.
Good morning. It's a beautiful Wednesday morning, and it's the first day of July.
Yep. We've split the year right down the middle. 6 more months to the end of the year.
It's 5 more months. Though.
6.
July, August, September, October, 5 months. We're in July now.
Really?
Yeah, 6 months we're in June.
No.
Am I lying? I don't know how it works.
July,
so
August,
you count the month
September,
you're actually
October,
in as well?
November, December. 6
Okay,
months.
all right. But it's the 7th month.
Yes.
So if you subtract 7 from 12.
7, 8, 9,
so
10,
you count
11,
the 7.
12. Yes.
Ah, okay. I usually don't
because
count.
we're at the beginning. So it's 30 more days.
All right. 6 more months till we're done with the year. This is Breakfast Daily on City TV. Thank you guys so much for spending your first day of July with us. My name is Chifa Ekia.
And I'm David Kwekusechi.
It's an interactive show. So wherever you're watching us from, join the conversation with the hashtag Breakfast Daily.
Yes, and we have a WhatsApp line as well, 0550-585832. If you happen to be outside Ghana, please use +233 before you use the number.
Definitely. And today's a very special day. July came with gifts.
Yes.
Our very own Evelyn.
I know. She's
we
back.
have a special message
back
for you.
in the house.
We love you so much. We're glad you're back with us. And
Aquaba.
we look forward to stressing your life out. Now, a lot of us actually went out to register for our voters' card.
Yes.
People were saying it was okay, social distancing.
There were different experiences, I think, across board. Some varied experiences. There was some experiences where people were not obeying any social distancing protocols at all. Some were not wearing masks, but there were some places where you found that people were following very strictly what it is that they're supposed to do. Then there were incidents where machines came in late, 5 hours before they started. All kinds of different experiences, but all in all, it's the first day, so
hopefully it gets better as we go, because it is our constitutional right, and we all have to get out there and vote. But let's take a look at our quote of the day.
So the quote of the day today comes from Jim Rohn, who is an entrepreneur and an author. He says, "Work harder on yourself than you do on your job." I think that this is a good reminder for us to, as we get into halfway through the year, that our biggest project is us. Our biggest project is us, and if we can do a good job with us, usually we'll end up doing a good job with everything else that is around us. So work harder on yourself than you do on your job.
I agree, and it reminds me of this thing that we used to say as kids, like good, better, best. May I never rest. Until my good is better and my better best. But when you say it as a kid, you're just like that.
You're
right. But as an adult,
think about
means so much.
It's so true. It could not have been said better, and I think that it's important for us to all remember at every stage in time that the ideal place we have in mind for ourselves will only be achieved by working every day a little bit more on ourselves, and improving who it is that we are, to get to where we want to be.
And you can't get from good to best. You have to get from good
to better
and best. And as you're working on your good, and someone is already at their best, don't compare, because it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. So they may have gone through so many things to get to where they are. It's like learning to play the keyboard. you know, you're in class with someone who's been doing it since childhood.
Yeah.
They can play with their eyes closed.
Yeah.
You are now starting. You can't compare yourself to that person and say, how come they can just close their eyes and play the thing without putting in any effort? Because they've gone through years
of doing that,
of perfecting it to a point where it's almost second nature to them, and you are just starting. And I think sometimes we forget that we are just starting. So when you get to that better, then you celebrate that. I used to be here a couple of years ago. This is where I am now. And then this is where I'm heading.
I think too often we over stress ourselves and judge ourselves harshly because we forget that there's a journey that we're on. Many times when we stop to think about where we were 10 years ago, that's when we suddenly realize how much improvement, how much better we've become, how much journey that we have crossed, you know. But if you look at your current circumstance, you criticize yourself and judge yourself harshly and all that. But just take a look back and see where it is you came from, and you suddenly realize that I have come a long, long way. Yeah, but we're going to look at some keyboard things as well today. This morning, isn't it?
I mean, speaking of coming a long way, keyboard idols. I mean, I was so impressed by all the below 15-year-olds. I always want to call them kids, but I'm like, they're not kids. The below 15-year-old people who sent in their videos, and it shows the investments their parents made in them, right? A lot of us didn't have that, and I think it's just amazing. Over 250 entries. I was blown away.
Yeah, a lot of people. And so one of the challenges that we have is that so many of you submitted entries that we're going to hire a professional who is going to whittle down the numbers purely based on his assessment or skill level, and then once that is done, then 100 people will also go through a different phase of recording and being reassessed again, and then they'll be whittled down further to 20 and then to 10 finalists, who will then enter the competition. So this is going to be exciting. I mean, we'll be here doing this for the next 3-4 months. It's going to be very, very, very exciting. So, yeah, let's take a look at...
We'll get to all of that.
Okay.
We need to squeeze them a bit. Right. But every day we'll be showing you guys videos, right? And the videos we show you are not of the people who have made it to the finals. It's
not
just
yet,
the
anyway.
Videos we've received and we're sharing them with you. But we still have a pandemic that we're dealing with. Yesterday, we learned that the cases had gone up by 390. So our positive cases are now at 17,741. Okay, gladly, recoveries are at 13,269. Unfortunately, 112 people have died. So the total active cases are at 4,361. So we need to keep in mind that we have to take care of ourselves. We don't want to overburden our healthcare workers. Just a few months ago in March, we had only recorded 2 cases in the country. So March, April, May, June, July, in just 3-4 months, we are getting to 20,000 people. So please, when you're going out there, mask up, wash your hands with running water and soap, express social distancing, because you don't know where your friend has been. You don't know where the people you are with have been, and they could be asymptomatic. And you are going back home to someone who may have a pre-existing health condition, especially now that we are all going out to register. We need to be extra, extra careful and not, take certain things for granted, because we all have to make it through past 2020 and share this crazy year with our children one day.
Jafar, I keep looking at the numbers and I keep wondering, to myself, what it is that we've done across the world. When you look at the different countries, best practices, some people are not doing very well. Some people's numbers are just shooting higher and higher. So Europe, for example, are beginning to open up now because they've dropped the entire EU. You're looking at about 5,000 cases per day.
Ghana, we're not allowed there.
Not yet. Not yet. But Rwanda is allowed.
No one is in a rush to go anyway.
Rwanda is allowed. Rwanda, yes. So,
Anyway,
we need to improve our
We're
situation.
all registering to, getting our voter register so that we can vote in December. Our colleague Pearl Akanya Ofori was out and about yesterday. We'll take a look at what she observed.
This is one of the registration centers in the ACCREDITED district within the Ododo constituency. In your short 2 queues. Now the one on my right is for the elderly. The one on my left, those below 60 years. Now the registrants here are frustrated. For the elderly, some of them said they've been here as early as 4 a.m. and it's almost 1 p.m. and no one is telling them why the exercise hasn't started. Now, on my left are those below the age of 60. We'll try and find out what their peculiar challenges are. But one of the issues officials here are confronted with is the fact that most of them are not observing the social distance protocol. And some of them too are not wearing their masks. And we'll try and speak to some of them now and then find out what their peculiar issues are. Time here now, Ba.
I'm back at 5 o'clock.
I don't know, Ba, and Temsa.
Abani here, Mintia. Card in this here, Tina, Mammy Bahantam. I have Japan, so, sir. I do man almost starting. The end to me, what the currency almost starting.
Bianca, Sherman, the almost starting.
Pachai. And he Janasa, and I can't almost see a salano, and he has the Ahania Cosso, see a bay man, you say, and your man, you're ready, Yami.
Now the passports never has over registered, and now the Ghana card.
The Ghana card.
Let's speak to another registrant. She has a concern. Why are you not observing the social distancing protocol?
Oh, social distancing. I'm no more. Say, coronavirus about. So the way to tell us society. And colonial can be more. It can be because I'm the tell where Cramena, worms, with the tell where Mena. It is about social distance. Shall the Ayata Suye? I didn't know so much. About 2 minutes. Oh, say I live on some charge. And see a prayer upon with someone and Tantam coffee and you could. Someone and Tammy and Siankosha more fear. I had your affair, I near them, Tony and Tanyan.
The delay, as we are being told by the NPP constituency chairman, is partly due to some disagreements or misunderstanding over the number of registration centers expected to be used for the exercise in this district.
We realize that the Electoral Commission is using centers different from the gazetted ones. Yesterday, my people pushed at the DIPAC meeting that the gazetted one should be used. But I think it was not agreed. So we petitioned the UC chairperson and all the stakeholders involved. And this morning, the UC officer called for a meeting, which the UC is the security agency were also there, and the various political parties within the constituency. And we have all agreed that if something has been gazetted, it has become law. So you can't do contrary to something that is law. So even if the UC is having a challenge, and it's not going to open all the 38 centers gazetted in the first place, then it should select the 90 that it's going to do from the gazetted ones and go and start. So that is the conclusion that we take. So now they've agreed, and they've mentioned the 19 that they are going to do this morning from the gazetted one. And I think that is enough for us.
For some of the people who've come here to register, the issue is not the fact that officials have delayed the registration exercise. For some of them, they will not be able to participate in today's registration exercise. They are being told to come on Thursday to have this done. They'll be speaking to us to tell us what they make of this arrangement.
Papa up to now, at 1 o'clock, I can't 1 o'clock, I can't so that in back home.
Miss one can my ID card. It can ya Ghana every day.
Yeah.
You remember I told you yesterday that when I went to register for my Ghana card, people have been there since 2 a.m.
Yeah.
And as at the time I got there at 2 p.m., they were still in the same line. They were not moving.
Yeah.
There were about maybe 100 or 200 of us there. And there were only 2 people registering us. And I'm like, of course we're going to be here all day.
Forever, yeah.
Because what does it take to employ more people to speed up the process? So when I heard the chairperson of the Electoral Commission, Jean Mensah, address the nation on Monday, saying it will take 10 minutes to go through this process.
We've seen it before.
I was like, how are we going to pull this off?
Yeah.
So I was expecting to see yesterday maybe, we've doubled up, we've tripled the number of people. I mean, we employed 44,000 people. You would think that it will help. These people are old. They have no business spending 8 hours, 9 hours waiting just to register. It beats me. And how are we... I mean, look at the policeman walking right there, and people are not expressing social distancing right where he is, and nothing is happening.
No one is really doing anything. I mean, so you realize that you can see him there. He's standing right next to them whilst they're, so whether there's a deep understanding, a proper understanding of what it is they're supposed to do. You see what the lady said? The lady says, if I touch you,
and
I'll get it, and therefore, look, as we're standing here by now, we should already have it.
Attempted to touch them. They just
but I'm just, there's also a clear misunderstanding of the way that the virus even is transmitted. So the whole mindset is just, it's challenging. It's challenging, and I think the Electoral Commission really needs to get their act together on so many different fronts, because we have cases where people have been waiting not because there was a slow process, but because some equipment wasn't available. It was just not there. It wasn't ready to roll out. And all this is something that, look, these areas are going to be here for 6 days. And they move to a different place for another 6 days. Will they be able to do what they're supposed to do in 6 days? It begs the question.
So we can excuse it and say yesterday was the first day, but we need to get to a point in this country where we plan ahead and we avoid some of these things, because we have a pandemic on our hands and we don't want people to spread it because they are going out to do something that is their constitutional right. So hopefully from today onwards, we will hear better news stories. Speaking of better news, Keyboard Idol.
Yeah, let's get to it.
We've received hundreds of videos, and we're going to share them with you. Should we take a look at some?
Let's take a look at some of the videos, and then we'll come back and continue the conversation.
I mean, yesterday I thought we had all the winners. Today, I mean, the judge has a lot.
Oh no, that's what I want. That's what I want.
How are you going to filter through this?
Well,
good.
Well, you see, for a professional, there are skill levels, so you're able to see, you know, the skill levels and be able to judge just based on hearing what they're playing and seeing their dexterity as they play. You know, I mean, I dabble a little bit in keyboard, so as I watch them, I can see the different skill levels, and then also, there are people who can read and play.
So that's an additional skill.
That's an additional skill. But there's a handicap if you have to play without reading. So a lot of them I've noticed, okay, some of them have surmounted it, but a lot of them, if you don't have a script in front of them, they find it difficult to play. But you put any score in front of them, they will nail it easy.
Wow.
You know, so there are many things involved in the decision-making process. So I'm not sure. Look, I don't want to be the judge. That judge has a big headache on you know. So it's going to be interesting to see who comes out in the finals. Yeah.
Definitely, and again, we'll be showing you these videos all week long so that you can appreciate the talents we have. I think anyone who submitted a video is already a winner because it takes a lot of courage to share your talents with the world. So you should all be proud of yourselves. I'm so happy that we get to see what we have in this country every morning. Yeah, absolutely. Well, we have a lot coming up in the show. News review is next. My name is David Kwikusechi. And I am Jifa Eka Amatam. Don't go anywhere. We will be right back.
My name is Samuel Ofori, a film actor and a film director. Because of the nature of my job, the taste for quality things is endless. Quality phones, quality laptops, quality TV sets. Let me show you my secret. Here is Franco Trading Enterprise. My secret for quality laptops, quality phones, quality TV sets. Accessories, come on, external hard drive, pen drive, name it. For bulk purchase and retails, come to Franco Trading Enterprise. They'll reduce the price for you. Franco Trading Enterprise, home quality phones.
There is no promise we cannot keep. There is no commitment we cannot honor. There is no delivery we cannot guarantee. There is only one Bethel Logistics Company Limited, a licensed international freight forwarding and clearing agent, a trusted global brand with an extensive network for the movement of air freight and ocean freight worldwide. We are the trusted name for road freight into Western and Northern Africa. We are fully accredited by Ghana Customs and Excise. We cater for all your freight forwarding, customs clearing and forwarding, cross trades, inland transportation, internal cargo tracking systems, customer freight costing and consultancy, cold chain logistics management, logistics and warehousing, quality inspection, and much more. In Accra, Tema, and Takrady, we are always available to ensure easy movement of cargo countrywide. Call us on 0204 528 900 or 0244 707 859. Email info@bethellogistics.com. Locate us in Accra at North Ridge, adjacent Accra Girls High School, or in Tema at Community 4, or in Takrady on the second floor of the GCB building. Website bethellogistics.com. BethLOG, experts in shipping logistics.
Welcome back. It's Breakfast Daily on CCTV. Thank you so much for staying with us. We'll take a look at our newspaper headlines and then some online stories. Then we'll introduce our guest who are already seated here with us. Let's start off with the Daily Graphic. On the front page of the Daily Graphic, we have enthusiasm. Many turn up to register on first day. Social distancing protocols breached. That story is on page 3. COVID-19 private sector fund appeals for support. That story is on page 16. Government's free water for all ends. That story is on page 16, and I must say that I'm part of the few people who are excited that this program ended, because I've not had constant water since we started this free water thing, and I've been chasing water tankers for paid water. All right, now we'll take a look at the Custodian. On the front page of the Custodian, we have, I don't need rigged election to win 2020 polls. That's coming from President Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo, and that story is on page 3. Electoral Commission Ghana, compilation of new voters register. Everyone matters. Go out and register from 30th June to 6th August 2020, 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. each day. Alabi heads NDC's campaign team. That story is on page 2. We'll now take a look at the Ghanaian Times. On the front page of the Ghanaian Times, we have President inaugurates 74.3 million Ghana city water projects in Central Region. That story is on page 12. We'll deal with troublemakers at registration centers. Greater Accra Regional Minister. That story is on page 12. Who wins presidential pitch today? Good luck to all the people who are going out there to pitch. Not congratulations yet, because we don't know who will win. 3 judges murdered 38 years ago remembered. That story is on page 4. Voter registration takes off smoothly, but with social distancing, mask wearing concerns. That story is on page 13. We'll now go on to the Informer. K.T. Hammond's ethnocentric comments meant to cause disaffection for government for allegedly plotting his near exit. That story is on page 3. Akufo-Addo sacks Auditor General to please NPP party. That story is on page 4, and you can find more stories in the Informer. We'll now take a look at our final newspaper, The Finder. On the front page of The Finder, we have voters rush for cards, but many disregard social distancing protocols. That story is on pages 4 and 5. CBG supports NDA with 50,000 Ghana cedis to return over 500 Kayaye home. That story is on page 8. GMA laments lack of PPE, shortage of COVID-19 test kits. That story is on page 2 of The Finder. We'll now take a look at some online stories, starting with citynewsroom.com. Ghana not on list of countries permitted into Europe. Not surprising. That's coming from Information Minister Kojo Oppong Nkrumah. Military deployment was to check over 250 unapproved routes along borders. That's coming from Nitiwo, who's the defense minister. Kolebu registration center records over 20 persons with COVID-19 symptoms. It's really not so good news there. Government amends date for July evacuation of stranded Ghanaians in UK. COVID-19, Ghana Bar Association proposes softer sanctions for non-wearing of face masks. We'll now take a look at some business news from citybusinessnews.com. Triabodom, tomato farmers make gains as border closure curtails importation from Burkina Faso. So that's great news for our tomato farmers. BOG accepts less than 50% of bids in last dollar auction in June. Fidelity Bank attributes strong 2019 financial results to customers' support. Netflix hires our very own Bozoma St. John as first Black C-suite executive marketing chief. A big congratulations to her. We are committed to sustaining food security amidst COVID-19. That's coming from CSIR. We'll now take a look at some more local news from myjoyonline.com. Police on manhunt for robbers who gunned down Bantama SDA church caretaker in broad daylight. We'll now take a look at some global news from BBC.com. Africa Live. Sahel countries to intensify strikes on jihadists. Of course, you can get all of your news from citynewsroom.com and all of your business news from citybusinessnews.com. And for all updates on coronavirus, you can go to citynewsroom.com/coronavirus. Now, it is an interactive show, so wherever you're watching us from, we want to hear from you. If you're on Facebook, just comment down below. If you're on other social media platforms, the hashtag is Breakfast Daily. And if you want to reach us directly, our WhatsApp line is 0550585832. If you're outside Ghana, the country code is +233. I have been joined by Jifa Tega, who is a National Communications Team member of the NDC. Good morning, Jifa.
Good morning, Jifa.
How are you?
I'm fine.
So awkward saying Jifa.
I know, right?
It's your first time at City.
Yeah, it's my first time here.
How have you been? How's the coronavirus taking care of you? How are you adjusting?
Yeah, I'm adjusting. I mean, it's normal for everyone to adjust. That's human nature, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's cool.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
We're also going to have Akosua Menu, who is the Deputy CEO of the National Youth Authority, with us. She's joining us via Zoom. And the minute she's ready, we'll call her in. And okay, Akosua, I heard you're on. Good morning, Akosua.
Good morning, Jifa.
How are you?
It's best in the studio. I'm awesome. How are you?
Good. Why couldn't you be here with us?
To be honest, I got the call a bit late yesterday.
Oh, it's okay. We're happy you can still join us via Zoom.
All right, thank you.
So we'll take a look at our first story here. I'm reading from citynewsroom.com, and it has to do with the voter registration exercise. It says, voter registration proceeds smoothly despite lack of social distancing. So the first day of the voter registration exercise, ongoing nationwide, has been marked by the anticipated concerns about faulty machines, long queues, and lack of social distancing amidst the novel coronavirus pandemic. Across Ghana's 16 regions, there are 6,788 clusters made up of 5 registration centers each. Some of these centers, like the City Engineers Registration Center at Eshiedu Keteke district in Accra, saw hundreds of persons stranded because of the late start of the process. Finishing the process as early as possible was the goal of a lot of registrants who showed up at the registration centers the night before, in some cases to begin queuing. At a center in New Drabin in the eastern region, a majority of residents, according to City News' checks, started arriving at the center from 3 a.m. just to avoid long queues. The social distancing was okay. There were no delays. Everything was smooth, so I am okay. The safety of everybody is assured, one woman said. Another welcomed the special treatment that elderly were getting. One thing that delights me most is the fact that the elderly have been given a place to sit and they have a dedicated person who calls them and deals with them. Unfortunately, we had people who were not practicing social distancing. So it says here, the concerns over the lack of social distancing are expressed to feature heavily in the assessment of the first day of the exercise. So a lot of our correspondents shared stories. We also saw it on the first 30 of people who were not expressing social distancing at all, and showing lack of concern for even spreading the virus. So I'll start with you, Madam Menu, and then we'll go on to Jifa.
Okay. Good morning to all your wonderful viewers this morning. Good morning once again to Jifa. I haven't seen Jifa in a while. Jifa Cheka.
I'm disappointed you didn't come here today.
We used to engage on another platform. It's good to see her. She looks well. Yesterday started the voters registration exercise, and I must admit I was very impressed with how it went on day one. There'd been a lot of build-up in terms of anxiety, in terms of differences in opinion, and whether this exercise should come up or not. But without a doubt, we have a constitutional requirement in December, and there are things we need to do to ensure that we are best positioned to deliver a good and clean election. Yesterday, some of the worries, and deservedly so, was the COVID-19 protocol breaches in some of the centers, particularly with social distancing. From what I monitored in terms of some of the centers, was that a few people didn't have masks on. Subsequently, some also complained of the slow process in some of the centers, and making people stand for longer periods or huddle in corners, and that wasn't the best. But overall, I believe that it was a good effort, and moving forward, I hope it continues in the same faith. And for centers where the processes were slow, I would hope that it picks up, so that everybody gets into, given how it's been coordinated. There are a couple of days per center or the clusters for you to get your voter ID card. And a lot of people, most people I know, decided they would get their cards on the first day, and they succeeded in doing that. And I'm happy they were able to do it. I would ask that as much as possible, the EC is a bit, their hands seem to be tied in terms of logistics, and some citizens acted in good faith yesterday. I know people that bought plastic chairs for some centers, donated extra sanitizers and whatnot, all in the space of being a good citizen, which is a good thing, looking out for each other. But we still need to be mindful of the clear and present danger, which is COVID-19. And we still need to continue to adhere to the protocols. Wear your face mask, use a sanitizer anytime you touch anything outside of what you possess. So if you have to borrow a pen, make sure you sanitize before and after touching the pen. Yesterday, people were sharing pens as well. So when it comes to logistics, there's a clear concern. However, despite these challenges, I think that it was a fair, process yesterday, and I hope it continues in that way.
Thank you very much, Akosia. Jifa,
thank you once again, and good morning to everyone out there. I do not know why Akosia is saying that everything went on very smoothly. We are not in normal times. We are in the middle of pandemic right now. So the success of this whole voter register isn't only dependent on how many people were able to register in a day. I mean, apart from a few centers where they had issues with early registration, which is to be expected. I mean, we don't expect everything to be perfect. But dealing issues with this COVID-19 was terrible. Akosia was saying a few people were not in mask. I don't remember a few. I mean, pictures we've seen. I was at the center yesterday. I'll be there today too. It was a lot of people. And you saw people in queues and were packed up. Even with sanitizer as well, there is always a nurse there to help you disinfect your hands, but it was horrible. And I was expecting that the EC was so insistent on doing this voters registration exercise. The pandemic, being able to contain this COVID-19 should have been one of the her first priorities, or their first priority. But I didn't see anything like that. It is the first day. Usually, the first day is supposed to be very strict. It can die down during the later days. But if we've seen this in the first day, then I wonder what will happen in a week's time. I went to about 3 centers in my constituency yesterday, and I was disappointed. there isn't so much education. I was even thinking that the EC advertising this whole registration format would have had one particular format that will cover around how to behave at the center. But I haven't seen anything like that. So it's horrible, and I don't even think this is something ACCRA should be defending, because some of these things are very serious. This is the health. Already, I think that when we decided, or when the EC insisted on doing this registration exercise, she had chosen this registration exercise over the lives of Ghanaians.
Really? Isn't that a bit of a stretch?
No, it's not a stretch. This is very serious. We are at the peak. We keep saying that it's because we are testing more, but we keep shooting up. So if we couldn't hold on to anything, let's say if it was really, really necessary indeed for us to do this COVID-19, we couldn't hold on to it, and we decided to choose it despite what is happening, then it's more important than the lives of Ghanaians. I'm not stretching it.
But it's our constitutional right to vote come December, and we still need to have...
But we couldn't have done that with the old register.
Okay.
We don't want to go there right now. We don't want to go into that discussion. But we could have done that with the old register. We did that a few months back when we were doing assembly elections. And so we had something on the table. So it's not as if no Ghanaian had no card at all.
But if we're going back to church, our kids are going back to school, can't we also just register for this new one?
Well, that's exactly what they've done. Our kids are going back to school. But look, I don't even want to go to the kids area, but I'd say that government is trying to score some political points here. A lot of countries are being very strict about this. But right now in Ghana, if you will be honest with me, you are my host, so you may not be allowed to say certain things, but we look very relaxed, as though there are people who don't even believe that there is COVID-19. Everything has been eased down.
But at what point do we hold the individual accountable? Because government is doing its part by saying we should all wear face masks, we should respect social distancing, free water, free electricity. What more should government be doing?
I support the fact that an individual should be held accountable when they don't put the face mask on, or they don't observe these rules concerning the COVID-19. But government should also bear in mind that we are human beings and we are a large population. He should consider the psychology of human beings when he is making, he's putting down some rules to support this thing. When you go to a facility and you want to make a statement or implement something, you always have to put into consideration the psychology of human beings. You understand? Human beings behave in a particular way. It's different for them to behave differently, but you make sure that when you are trying to redirect them, you redirect them in a way that is a little bit comfortable or a little bit reasonable. That's all I'm saying. You don't just go overboard and expect that because it's a rule, everyone should just fall into it. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Now, we have some issues with the registration exercise.
Eva, can I just say something quickly, since she highlighted 2 or 3 things I supposedly said?
Okay, briefly, then we'll move on.
Yeah. It looks like my fair assessment of yesterday's proceedings sort of irritated my sister, but the bottom line is, and as you pointed out, at which point do we hold individuals responsible? The EC doesn't have a team of thousands and thousands of individuals to monitor and make sure every single individual adheres to the protocols. They are doing the best they can. But as we all know, human behavior can be quite a thing. You'd expect people to do the right thing, even with knowing that laws have been passed when it comes to wearing of your mask and the fines or sanctions that would be applied. I'll refer her to their press conference just a couple of days ago, where we saw on TV members of the opposition huddled and hugging during their presser. And that was clear protocol breaches. Social distancing right there in front of that was flouted. Or candidate Mahama going to addressing people in the Volta region, and we saw how they were all huddled. As a former president who also has expressed reservations on how this government is handling COVID-19 in this space and time, you'd assume that his team or even he himself will point out to the crowd that, you know what, I want you to stand a meter apart from each other. But it's easy to throw sticks and stones at the ruling government and think that the spotlight is on us and insulate ourselves of every responsibility. What we need always to know, and I've said this on other platforms as well, is that the ultimate responsibility also lies on us in terms of the COVID-19 and its spread. So government will put the protocols in place. The EC will subsequently also try to put their protocols in place. But you and I should make sure that we are doing the right thing. It doesn't take away from any one of us to point out to our fellow Ghanaian at the center to wear their mask.
But Akosia, there were policemen there. Was it not their responsibility to ensure the safety of Ghanaians, the workers who were there working for the EC? Was it not their responsibility to ensure that every single person who came there had on a face mask?
Absolutely, it is their responsibility.
So are we not putting the lives of Ghanaians at risk if we don't hold these individuals accountable for what they were supposed to do?
We should hold individuals accountable, but we also need to bear in mind that some of these individuals do not have a clear understanding of what this pandemic is.
When I say individuals, I mean the security agencies and the workers of the Electoral Commission, not the registrants.
So the security forces, for one, I've not seen any policeman without a mask on the streets. To be fair, they've adhered to this protocol.
We have a video. We have a report by our colleague Paula Kanyo-Fori where you see hundreds of Ghanaians, some of them not wearing face masks. They not respecting social distancing, and you have about 6-7 policemen standing right next to them, not ensuring they do what they are supposed to do.
It is not peculiar to us Ghanaians. If you paid any attention to happenings worldwide, we saw protest marches in America where people had taken off their masks and were engaging face-to-face with the police. We have seen people across the world. We saw a protest that escalated worldwide where people were flouting the rules, forgetting that there was a present danger, COVID-19. So human behavior, and I'm not a behavioral scientist or anything, but I realize that when it comes to putting an importance on things, some people tend not to prioritize it. So I'm asking that, can it be a collective responsibility for all of us to ensure that even at the centers we are at, irrespective of which color or party you are representing, you make sure that you look out for your fellow Ghanaian? It's not too much to ask. And also, we know that, yes, some of the security agencies, in making sure that people adhere to the rules, also can get out of hand. But in this case, they've been cautioning people. I don't know which centers you went to, because obviously you probably have a bigger monitoring team than I do. But from what I saw yesterday, despite the inherent lapses, it was still much better than I anticipated.
Okay, that's fine. We have to talk about what happened at Botiano English, so you can tie it into, because the MPP parliamentary candidate was accused of distributing EC materials, and he was on Eyewitness News yesterday denying it. But initially, you know, he was accused of bringing a truck. So I'll read that story. It's on citynewsroom.com. It says, Botiano English, a man for NPP parliamentary candidate, denies distributing EC materials. So the New Patriotic Party's parliamentary candidate for the Botiano English Amanfo constituency in the Greater Accra region has debunked reports that he made available some items to aid officers of the Electoral Commission conducting the voter registration exercise in the constituency. So this comes after his contender, Alexander Okuaku, who is the NDC parliamentary candidate for the same constituency, accused him of distributing items to the EC officials in the registration centers to aid them in their work. So Mr. Akuaku on Eyewitness News insisted that he saw agents of Sly Tete making these distributions with his own pickup vehicle branded with President Akufo-Addo's pictures. Now, of course, Mr. Tete also came on Eyewitness News to say that that was not the case, and that they were just carrying some tables and chairs to help the elderly find a place to sit. Do you want to touch on that, and then I'll hear from Akosia?
Yes, I'll touch on that. But I want to touch on what Akosia said before. When you are giving me an example of demonstrations that was going on outside the country and everything, then you shouldn't come and tell me that there was a program where NDC and Mahama were doing whatever, because your just past elections, that went on was an eyesore in relation to COVID-19 safety measures. It was an eyesore. So let's not go there. That is why I insist.
But then it also takes out.
No, you don't cut me, Akosia. That is why I insist. That is why I insist that when you are setting rules, you should make sure that you consider human behavior. That is what comes first. Now let's go straight to what happened at English Yamanfo. Alex did see that the NPP executives in that constituency were helping the EC, or should I say were distributing registration items. It sounds strange. It's not supposed to happen. I mean, the EC budgeted $200 million for this, and they didn't have someone to help, or should I say they didn't have cars ready, but the NPP cars. This goes to say that we all know that the NPP were the ones who were rioting behind this voters registration. But I always say this, human beings are forgetful in nature. It's normal when you are forgetful. But when you are truthful, you do not care, because whatever slips out is the truth, and the truth is always one. But when you are deceitful, you would make a decision without thinking about it, and then later you realize that it doesn't go with the deceit that you were trying to play. Okay. So that is what has started happening to Akufo-Addo and his people. Okay. You start working in ways that you claim you are not. And then later on, we start realizing your agenda. But you know, Ghanaians are very smart.
But Mr. Tessa said he was just bringing
tables.
Deny it.
He will deny it. He will deny it and give a very nice excuse.
Although he said something else on ACCRA FM.
Yes, earlier. He said something else at ACCRA FM, that he doesn't see what is wrong with you distributing EC items with a party car. Seriously, not even as an individual or as a citizen, or as a party person. He will deny it. He's trying to be smart, so he will say that no, because he was seen with the items. He will tell you that okay, you didn't see the right items. It was chairs, but that is actually not the issue. And I am happy that all these things are coming out now. Right now, we've started registration lists. I'm encouraging everyone to go out and register. But I'm happy that people are seeing the NPP for who they really are, and it's going to determine what happens come December 2020.
Thank you. So we'll hear from Akosua, but we'll go for a quick break. This is still Breakfast Daily on City TV. Thank you so much for staying with us. It is an interactive show, so wherever you're watching us from, we want to hear from you. Use the hashtag Breakfast Daily for us to hear from you. And the WhatsApp line is 0550585832. If you're outside Ghana, the country code is +233. We'll be right back.
Unlock banking with biometrics. Now you can access the ACCRA mobile banking app using your fingerprint or facial recognition. Download today. That's Africanacity. That's ACCRA.
Welcome back. This is still Breakfast Daily on City TV. Thank you so much for staying with us. Now, it is an interactive show, so wherever you're watching us from, use the hashtag Breakfast Daily for us to hear from you. And the WhatsApp line is 0550585832. If you're outside Ghana, use the country code +233. Before the break, we were discussing what happened yesterday, the first official day of the voter registration exercise. Akosua seems to be okay with what happened, but Jifa is raising concerns about what went on at English Amanfom as far as an MPP parliamentary candidate being accused of assisting the EC with distributing some EC materials. Now, he came back to say that he was just distributing chairs, not EC materials. Akosua, your thoughts on this?
Yes. So I think I actually saw the story this morning, and actually from your news website as well. Now, it is not uncommon to see well-meaning people distributing chairs, tables, sometimes even food items to officials during this registration. And in this case, I believe that the parliamentary candidates for that constituency would feel a sense of responsibility to the happenings of that constituency. I don't see anything wrong with it, unless he is seen compromising the process or interfering with the work of the EC. And as far as I've listened to you on this, he hasn't. Okay, now would like to look for some smoke and mirror and conclude that something untoward is happening. But it's a registration process. Shakespeare said, suspicion always haunts the guilty mind. So I'm sure Jifa wants to see something that isn't there. But bottom line is, even as of yesterday, and I didn't want to mention this. Yesterday, there were reports of also NDC officials buying food and other items for EC officials. We heard that. But I wouldn't make a fuss about it unless, of course, they were seen interfering with the process. Okay. Only God knows what these people are going through in this space and time. Even the worry and concern for the officials as they are sitting there engaging with numerous people, they always have to make sure they're protected. Now, the canopies that he provided is not just for MPP officials monitoring. I'm sure other people are going to benefit from it. Same as chairs that were provided for pregnant and elderly women. I think that we should concern ourselves, or the question we should ask is, was he compromising the process, or was he seen changing the process for the registration? If that hasn't been identified, then his work as a good Samaritan should be applauded. That's all I can say on that.
Okay, now we'll go on to Asawase, where Honorable Muntaka is also asking for the relocation of the polling station. So I'm reading from citynewsroom.com. It says here, voter registration confusion as Muntaka pushes for relocation of polling station in Asawase. There is a heavy deployment of armed police officers to the Asawase constituency following disagreements between members of the governing New Patriotic Party and the opposition National Democratic Congress in the area. Muntaka Mubarak, the Member of Parliament for the constituency, has raised concerns over a polling station he claims is sited at the residence of the NPP constituency ward chairman. So it goes on to say, I'm going to quote what the Asawase legislator said. With the exception of this very polling station where we have this challenge, apart from the social distancing not being observed, you can't place a polling station in somebody's residence. He has rooms. If someone comes with suspicions that he has packed people into the room, how can you say he should open his private room for you to inspect? We are saying that there is a school here. Let's relocate the polling station there. Muntaka said the Electoral Commission also failed to notify political parties of the location of the polling station 21 days prior to the registration exercise as expected. Meanwhile, the municipal chief executive for ACCRA Mampong, who is the leading MPP who is also leading MPP in the area, insisted that the center will not be moved. So he goes on to say that polling stations everywhere are either in front of somebody's property, someone's business area, or in someone's house. Where do we site polling stations if not on someone's property? Do we site it on a road? If we move this, it means all polling stations in the constituency must be moved. In fact, in front of the NDC chairman's father's house, there is a polling station. This is where the polling station was gazetted, and it should be left here. We are okay with it. So I will allow Akosua respond to Honorable Muntaka's concerns, and then I'll come to you, Jifa.
That's okay.
Akosua. So yes, sorry, on the Asawase issue, again, first time I'm hearing of it, but when it comes to the signs of placing polling centers or registration centers, I actually do not know what went into it. But like was argued, inherently you're going to have stations where it's either people's property or businesses, but then the work has to continue. The question again is, are they interfering with the process? Are they intruding in the happenings or the processes, again, of the EC? Are they doing anything untoward that would affect the registration of people? If that hasn't been identified, and we are going to base it on the feelings of, oh, the center is placed in front of a known party faithful's house, we're soon going to have people protesting that this person is of a certain gender or religion or whatnot, and it doesn't in any way help the process. We always need to come back to what questions matter. Is the center's position being obstructed by this individual? If the answer is no, then I don't think we have to really worry about anything. We'll come back to the noise making that we've been inundated with in the past weeks, from the NDC going to the Supreme Court, losing a case, from having a 4-hour presentation to actually talk about our manifesto without offering any solutions or alternatives. It's just been a complete diversionary tactic. And even worse is what we experienced over this weekend with what I've come to learn is called identity politics, where you literally rile up people to feel a certain form of injustice just because you do not have a message for them or you do not have a manifesto to present. So divide and conquer, diversionary tactics, throw mayhem and chaos as much as possible, as has been seen to work in other jurisdictions outside of Ghana. But we are peace-loving people, and this exercise, especially yesterday, goes to show that people are committed to the process despite the danger of the pandemic. They are prepared to exercise their duty to make sure that they have a say in the December elections.
Okay, but
and what we are going to do is not to base on propaganda or hearsay or noise making. Bottom line is we are going to deal with facts, we are going to deal with achievements, and that's where we should always take the conversation to.
All right, so I'll allow Jifa.
Reason why that was stationed there, but they should come with a clear intent of obstructing the process with the EC or muddying the water somehow.
Okay.
That's what I can say on it.
Jifa.
Yes, Jifa. So, ACCRA wants to imply that we should wait for something to go wrong before we can complain. The EC is a neutral body, is it not? Maybe if it's not, you should tell me right now, because I think the EC is supposed to be a neutral body. To have, what Muntaka said was right on, to have a registration center in someone's house. The other man was comparing it to another registration center in front of someone's house. That is two different things. In front of someone's house could be even a street. He even said it was a street. That is not in someone's house. So if anything goes wrong in the house belongs to him. Can decide to prevent you from entering or anything. You know as well as I do, Asawase is NDC stronghold, and it is expected that the way people are coming out to vote, to register, it's going to be in favor of the NDC eventually. Because I also want to thank everyone who is coming out to vote and encouraging everyone to come out to register passionately, and call my friend to come and register as well. It doesn't make sense that you want to defend that there is nothing gone wrong until there is something gone wrong. We cannot say we are trying to see something that isn't there. Why that center? There are churches and schools around. Why couldn't they take any of them there? Why that center? And you are saying that you would not change it. It doesn't make sense. If I see something wrong today, do you know how long it will take for the EC to decide to change it? And at the time they would decide to change it, whatever has gone wrong has gone wrong. I think it's very clear. This goes to support what my claim earlier. The NPP are acting in ways that shows that they really have an agenda with the EC. And that is what they are doing. It is showing. Because if not, you could find any other place apart from an NDC chairman's house, personal house. And you're telling me you won't do it. And you didn't get any place to do it but Asawase constituency. But someone will say no shaking. We are going out in our numbers to register, and eventually what they are doing what they are trying to do is not going to succeed. So I'm sorry Akosua has to say this, but I think Ghanaians should open their eyes to see what the NPP are trying to communicate, or should I say are hiding from us, and be very passionate about it. It also shows the kind of leadership or the kind of government that is governing us. Okay. And it's unfortunate, but we'll deal with it squarely.
Okay, so speaking of leadership, our next story has to do with the president saying that he doesn't actually need to rig the election to win 2020 polls. So I'm reading from page 3 of the Custodian. It says here, I don't need rigged election to win 2020 polls. The president, Nana Akufo-Addo, has reaffirmed his commitment to ensuring free, fair, and transparent elections in the country. This is when he addressed us on Monday. He said, the idea of being a president who emerges from a rigged election is abhorrent to every fiber of my being. I want to continue to be the president of a Ghanaian people who have given me their free consent with the blessing of the Almighty. So, Jifa. And of course, this is coming at the back of NDC accusing him of,
Yes, we're accusing him because it's true. There's no smoke without fire, my dear.
Rig the elections,
yes,
and he's responding.
That is what he's trying to do. If not, they won't passionately try to convince Ghanaians that we need a register at all costs when we have a serious crisis ongoing. He knows he needs rigging to.
He just said he doesn't.
But of course, he's a president. He will say what his advisors have told him to come and say. Okay. Or he wouldn't say things that he wouldn't say the obvious. You get me?
Why do you think he would need to rig the election when he already won in 2016?
No, he won in 2016. I mean, every president has won an election before becoming president. But obviously, what is going on, the apathy people are feeling, the disappointment is large. When you see the rate of what people expected, if you feel what people expected, you talk to people in the street and you feel what they expected from this government against what they are given, you realize it is nothing. They have done nothing. He knows he needs rigging. We are not going to allow it. But look, the truth is, even divine intervention won't help Akufo-Addo. So he is making moves, and we have seen through them, and we are making sure that we are not going to allow any of his plans to come in place. That is why I keep saying we were against the voter register, but it is here. And we are now passionately registering. Let me keep thanking everyone who comes to register. And there are a lot of people, normal NDC people, who are mobilizing a lot of people. Thank you, and the agents who are being very vigilant in our strongholds, because those are the places they are targeting. Asawasi is an example. So if Akufo-Addo is saying this, he is trying to sort of calm the air, because everything is pointing at him. Well, all this thing, all what was going on didn't really make sense, but they kept insisting that they wanted it to go on. And a lot of people, not just NDC people, a lot of neutral floating voters and everything, keep saying that there is something fishy there. So he's coming out to say this, that he doesn't need to rig. No, he knows that he needs it, but it's not going to happen anyway.
Thank you. Akosua.
Yes. President Nana Akufo-Addo has said that he doesn't need to rig the election to win. And I'm confident in that statement because in the last 3.5 years, what this government has been able to do, despite the challenges and despite what we inherited from the previous incompetent government. I think it's a struggle for my sister to even speak to this particular issue, given that...
I'll speak again if she doesn't mind.
Allow her to make her point. She did not interfere when you were talking. Go ahead, Akosua.
But thank you, Jifa, the host. Thank you. I think you need to remind the platform she's on and the discerning viewers who are listening to us who do not entertain such interjections. But I'm saying that what we have brought to the table in the last 3.5 years, which was guided by a blueprint, which is our manifesto, subsequently, we have delivered on our promises and are continuing to deliver. We haven't done it 100%, no. We haven't, we acknowledge that we are not perfect. We also acknowledge that there have been things we didn't expect to happen. And given that Ghana was cited as one of the fastest growing economies by no one other than Bloomberg, it's cited. This same Bloomberg carried an article on former candidate Mahama and highlighted his abysmal performance in his leadership. Now, when you become the president of Ghana, you are not just governing Ghana, okay? You are a symbol and a beacon to our neighboring countries. You are the star of Africa. So you have to look a certain way. You need to act a certain way because you act as a symbol of hope to other African leaders. And I'll tell you that across the African sub-region, across Africa, there's so many individuals, several social media platforms, several articles that have written about our president and that are so happy about how he carries himself. We need to realize that when this government came, when we knew that unemployment was high, especially for our graduates, we decided, you know what, let's put 100,000 of them in a program called NACO. NACO isn't life-changing, but it's a means to an end. It's something for them to hold on to. Subsequently, some of them have phased out of this and found gainful employment. We are faced with the pandemic, okay, global. It's brought economies to their knees. You've seen China see its worst in the last 23 years. They say it themselves. We were on a path of rebuilding, of making sure that we move into a certain space.
But if everything is working the way you're saying it is, why would the president need to address accusations of possibly trying to win the election?
Thank you very much. When you say that, it means that somehow we become socially tone deaf, because there's a panelist sitting right there who's troopers, more or less, and they speak from the same hymn book, who have been talking about collusion with the EC, who have talked about intentions to do something untoward just so we win the election.
But the minority has always made accusations. The president does not always, react to what they're saying.
In this particular instance, again, we will be socially tone deaf to disregard the event that happened in the last few days. Rightfully so, your network has granted interviews on this. If I recall, Sanda on Face to Face yesterday met the defense minister asking him why soldiers have been deployed and whatnot. So all these things are not.
And the information minister also came out to say Katie Hammond doesn't speak for the government.
Obviously, that's true. I feel the same way. For instance,
because he didn't say something that goes with him.
But please wrap up for us.
So bottom line is this particular instance that we're in, there's several achievements that we can point out to. I know that GFA disregards free SHS. We disregard that 1 million children have had the right to education.
They can't say anything without free SHS. It's so pathetic.
But the impact in that we're going to feel, in this country is something that we can't even quantify. I know that we'll dismiss one district, one factory, but it's happening. We've seen Ekumfi, we've seen Casa del Ropa. There are so many of them. We're seeing growth despite the crippling challenges this COVID-19 pandemic has presented. And even despite that, this president has put in measures to make sure that we don't feel it. I remember 4 years or more of doom so. I didn't remember a stimulus package from candidate Mahama then to say that, you know what, this is a discount on your electricity because you're buying fuel for generators, or your businesses are going down because you don't have constant power. None of it happened. So if it's going to come down to this election, it's going to come down to leadership. And I'm confident 100% in President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. And more so because he doesn't need to do anything to win this election. It's going to be based on achievement solely and his leadership.
Thank you.
That he scores 100%.
Thank you very much. I have to discuss the last story, and it has to do with the sanctions that we will all face if we don't put on our face mask. So we know that per the EI 164, which was signed by the president on June 15, 2020, as part of the measures to curb the spread of COVID-19, Section 6 to be specific of Act 1012, says that a person who fails to comply with the restrictions imposed under the executive instrument under subsection 1 of section 2 commits an offense and is liable on summary conviction to a fine of no less than 1,000 penalty units, that is 12,000 Ghana cedis, and no more than 5,000 penalty units, that's 60,000, or to a term of imprisonment not less than 4 years and not more than 10 years, or both. A few hours after that was released, Martin Pigbu came out to say that the fines were too high, as other countries, developed countries, were charging just $200, $50, $100, and he even recommended that the fine should be about what a NABCO trainee earns a month, which is 750 Ghana cedis. Now, the Ghana Bar Association, they also add in their voice, and they're saying that the sanctions of face mask for not wearing face masks should be much lower. So I'm reading that story from citynewsroom.com, and it says, COVID-19, Ghana Bar Association proposes softer sanctions for non-wearing of face mask. They are actually proposing between 120 Ghana cedis to 1,800 Ghana cedis, and their reason for that is because they think that the penalties is too high. They say that it is our firm belief that our proposal is, well, our proposals are sufficiently punitive and will deter people from violating the restrictions imposed by virtue of the law. Jifa.
Yeah, I agree with the Ghana Bar Association. I agree with Martin too. I think, yes, it should be treated as a very serious offense if you decide not to wear your face mask in public. But let the sanctions be doable so that a lot of people would even would have to even go through them, and so that we feel that it is actually very real. When you do not wear your face mask, you'll be sanctioned. The NPP primaries that went on recently, the number of people that were not wearing face masks, it was overwhelming. 12,000 to 60,000, fine. Do you know the number of people who would have been in prison by now? I cannot pay 12,000 to 60,000. I don't have that money. Maybe the NPP can pay because they are chopping the money. You understand? But I don't have that money. I would have been in prison. Of course, I wouldn't go anywhere without my face mask. But if I made any mistake going somewhere without a face mask and being arrested, I don't have that money. I'll be in prison for up to how many years? Up to 10 years. And in less than probably a week, our prisons are already so congested, and we've been complaining about it. But of course, we don't pay so much attention that it's unfortunate. Maybe we'll deal with it in the future, but that is what is going on. So why not come down to what the Ghana Bar Association is suggesting? 120 cedis. If you catch a trader, a pure water seller, who doesn't who doesn't wear their face mask when selling, 120 cedis is a lot of money for her. But she can pay. It is a payable money, and it's going to be so painful, she may not repeat that mistake. But when you tell her to be fined, that means you want everyone to go in prison in the first place, because the amount of money you are mentioning is quite a lot.
But how about people just put on the face mask because they can't afford it? Is that enough to deter us from I think, doing what we want?
No. There are people who sew face masks now. You don't just have to buy the surgical masks. There are face masks that you can sew. You wash them and iron them. They are cheaper and reusable. So there are, yes, when you go to the very deprived communities, there are those who cannot afford it. But I think for a human being to at least get a face mask, even one face mask that they can keep washing and reusing, they may be able to manage for now. But when you give a sanction of 12,000 to 60,000, who will pay? Who can pay? In this room right here, Jifa, if it happens to you right now, I know you are rich.
No, I'm not.
But if it happens to you right now,
I can't pay, so I'll make sure I wear my face mask.
You wear it, but if it happens, I told you about how easy it is for a human being to forget. You understand? And it's pardonable sometimes. So don't raise it to that extent. Okay. But if a lot of people have had to pay about 120 cedis for not wearing a face mask, I mean, if I have 120 cedi right now, I wouldn't want to use it to pay for sanctions.
Okay,
so I'll make sure I definitely wear it. So it should be doable. It should be a relatable something. It shouldn't be extreme. Other countries are doing better.
Thank you. Akosia.
Yes. So the Ghana Bar Association has called on, has raised some concerns on the fine, the amount that is taxed fine, as well as the penalty in terms of jail time and whatnot. I think that one of the things that we somehow, it's like we want to eat our cake and have it, where we agree COVID is real. We agree that there's a rate of spread that is, never been seen, more or less, given the current situation. And then we agree that people do not listen or people do not adhere to the protocols. Now, I believe that a lot of consideration went into it to ensure that people are compelled to wear their face mask, knowing that if they cannot afford the amount of money that it's assigned to not adhering to the protocols. So it comes back to...
But Akosia, realistically speaking, how many Ghanaians can actually afford that fine?
Ask her for me.
Actually, I don't have that data, but I'm saying that...
It's not about data.
It's okay. Please wrap up for us.
Yeah, it's a question, and I have to answer it. So I do not have that number of people that can afford it. But bottom line is, yes, there's a valid concern raised, because if you want to punish people for not doing a certain thing, you have to be sure that they can afford it. Now, I'll give you an example. If we take Qatar just had 25,000 cases and 14 deaths, but their penalty is $55,000 plus jail time, because they feel that, this thing is disruptive. Your economy grinds to a halt. So if you can't afford it, and that scares me because I also can't afford it. I'll be very honest, I can't afford it. But then I'll wear my mask and make sure that I do not get on the wrong side of the law.
But so what's the average salary of a first-time employee in Qatar, for instance, if we're going to compare it to a NAPCO employee in Ghana? Because that's
a first-time employee in Qatar. A first-time employee in Qatar doesn't make $55,000 in the first 6 months or even a year, and that's fact.
Combined.
Okay, but the bottom line is we need to be sure that when we're asking, and I said we're asking that people be put in a certain category to understand that this is real, COVID is real. At the same time, we are also asking that the fine be limited. Why do we not channel? And yes, I think that it's a great conversation to have. But why don't we put that energy to educating people that keep your mask on? It will prevent you from spreading the virus if you do get it to somebody else who might have underlying conditions and might not survive from it. Those are the things that we have to come to in terms of education, because bottom line is we've all agreed on this platform in several ways. If we take
we have run out of time, unfortunately. I want to chip in here, so I have to wrap you up.
Let me chip in something. But you didn't want me to add that. If we want to make sure the sanctions apply, be it on our side or their side, at least candidate Mahama, when engaging, it's not Facebook Live, when he's seeing people on the ground, should be wearing his mask, or he should try to pass on masks to the kids. And if you're not even a voting age,
thank you very much. Akosia is the Deputy CEO of the National Youth Authority, and Jifat Tega is one of the national communication team members of the NDC. It's been such a pleasure having you here with us, and we've received a lot of your messages, so unfortunately we're not able to read them. Morgan from Tema says, in Tema East constituency, it seems the MPP delegates and their constituency executives are those in charge of the registration process. The only thing you see there is people bringing their colleagues and even wives of their big men for registration, giving unnecessary excuses, and the EC officials are highly in support of this. We'll read some of your messages as we go, but thank you so much for joining us. Philip Kofi Ashong will join us right after this break.
There is nothing as hard as a diamond. For buildings with superior strength that withstand all weather conditions, Diamond Cement should be your preferred choice. Locate Diamond Cement nationwide with factories in Aflao, Takrady and Bupe. Diamond Cement, as hard as a diamond.
So, tell me again. Unexpected. Some guy comes on the scene, throws you behind bars for 15 months. Now, your own recollections of how life was in prison.
I've told you, I've used the word humiliating. I'll say that was what it was. Because suppose some of the big people, they went to say, with all due respect, the bathroom or toilet. We are humans. And open, no doors or anything. The noises and all that. Around the clock. Can you imagine? One day, I think we had been in there for about 3 months or 4 months. About 5 a.m. or so, we had some boots in that upstairs place on concrete steps. The main entrance to the infirmary was pushed open, and there were some soldiers looking very rough and asking for Darocha's brother called Moses. Fine person, who wasn't even a politician in the active sense. His brother was the general secretary of PP, and that's how I believe he got attracted in it. Why is Moses Darocha? It's 5 a.m. So everybody got nervous. What's happening? And they picked the poor man up, took him out of the cell, banged the doors. We didn't hear of Moses. They didn't bring him back. I think about 3 days or so, 4 days later. We were there hot afternoon when the director of prisons also called Darocha himself to go down to the office of the director, I think the office downstairs. Then a few minutes later we heard Darocha bawling, shouting, so they tortured Moses Darocha to death.
Wow.
From that time on, the whole place became so gloomy.
Join your host, Samuel Atamensa, as former President John Agyekum Kufuor continues with the rest of his story. Footprint Show this Saturday at 9 a.m. and Sunday at 4 p.m. only on City TV. City TV, it's your world.
Footprints is sponsored by Bethel Logistics Company Limited, experts in shipping logistics.
My husband wants me to undergo tubal ligation. I refused and suggested he undergoes a vasectomy instead. He claims I'm disrespectful because of my stance. This procedure is irreversible and it will deny me the chance of ever getting pregnant again. He already has 2 kids with his ex-wife. We are just 3 years into the marriage and he wants me to do what? He has threatened to divorce me if I don't do what he wants. He also says that he will go for another woman. I call this bluff because I can find myself a better man too. My dream is to have a big family and he already wants to cut it short. I'm only 30 years old. If this marriage doesn't work, I'd want to be able to have more children with another man. He told his mother about it and she's been on my neck to give in, but I asked her to rather tell her son to go under the knife. Am I really being disobedient? What do I do? And this is from Upset Abigail.
You don't want to go under the knife, so why should I go under the knife?
If you know that you could get any man you want, why break somebody's home to make somebody else's husband become your husband? You see, that's my problem. So you're also very selfish.
You can see that everything is about him. Everything from the get-go is about him. He's a selfish man, full stop.
Imagine if you can get all the understanding on some of the difficult subjects you struggle with in school. As a student, do you feel dissatisfied with how hard it is to figure out the subjects you're learning? Or as a parent or guardian, do you worry that your child is struggling to understand some of the subjects in school? Well, now you don't need to sign up for extra lessons or tutors. Simply tune in to Class Act, Mondays to Thursdays at 5:30 p.m. on City TV. Class Act is a show that seeks to enable senior high school students gain a much better understanding of what they learn in school. All you need is a TV, a chair, your notebook, and your pen. Get clarity on subjects such as maths, English, IT, and science. Class Act airs every Monday to Thursday at 5:30 p.m. on City TV on DSTV channel 363 and GoTV channel 182. Don't forget your pens, pencils, and your notebooks and tune in to Class Act, only on City TV.
This is Fact Finder from the BBC.
We live in a world where news travels fast, and sometimes it's hard to differentiate fact from fiction. Fact Finder brings fact-checking from the newsroom up close so you can separate truth from chaff. Be empowered to tell what's fake from what's real. Watch Fact Finder by the BBC on City TV every Wednesday at 6 p.m. City TV. It's your world.
Comprehensive news. The City Newsroom at 8 p.m. on City TV is your most engaging news bulletin on TV.
It's a very oh, that's too bad. The youth are still throwing stones. They are still throwing stones here into our direction. And can I come in? I want to come in. Okay.
Telling your stories better with correspondents covering every corner of the country.
Getting access to potable water is a daily struggle for residents of Kakichekopi and Balekopi communities in the Ada East district of the Greater Accra region.
City Newsroom at 8 p.m. Very fluent with issues that concern you.
This inquiry me cover on Mr. Rabbi, someone is in a bread. Told you can you 1 week. What do you say?
Is it unfair? What all this? What all this? We are dying! We are dying! We are dying for talk!
With City Newsroom, your community is now connected.
In this our community, all of us we are very sorry about this school. If we went to see the children, they are so small. Even my grandchildren are there. My grands outside there. If they come out from the school, I have this.
Every day at 8 p.m., City Newsroom is live on City TV.
Welcome back. It's Breakfast Daily on City TV. Thank you so much for staying with us. Now we're going to have a playback of our conversation with Philip Kofi Ashong on breastfeeding apps for new mothers. So we'll take a look at that and continue the show. Welcome back. This is Breakfast Daily on City TV. Thank you so much for staying with us. Now, today it's Wednesday, so we're discussing consumer technology. And my favorite topic that we've picked is breastfeeding apps. There are lots of young mothers out there, a lot of young new fathers out there who are looking to really figure out what app to use when breastfeeding their children. So it's all about breastfeeding. If you're a new parent or you know someone who's a new parent, you want to tell them to tune in, take some notes, and see how they can find some apps to assist them with the breastfeeding process. And of course, we do have Philip Ashong here with us. He's host of City Trend and head of production here at City TV. If you have any questions for him throughout the conversation, let us hear it with the hashtag BreakfastDaily, and the WhatsApp line is 0550-585-832. So Philip, good morning.
Hi, Jufa, how are you?
How are you?
I'm feeling pretty positive about today. I'm
Awesome.
feeling very, very good about today. It's been a good week so far.
Yeah.
A few disappointments I should expect. I was hoping that the holiday would be a little longer.
Oh,
but
you were here on the holiday. I think I saw
exactly.
you.
We're all here.
It wasn't really a holiday.
Yeah, you really couldn't experience the holiday. I'm just wondering when the government will probably say, all journalists should have 2 or 3 weeks off. You shouldn't have any work.
We don't want any news.
We don't want any news for 3 weeks. All journalists should take a break. That would be interesting. But it's interesting. Last week, as the rest of the world celebrated breastfeeding week, I think it was pretty awesome. And it's something that a lot of people tend to not want to discuss because, they might feel that, it's especially guys, who
But that's what the breasts are made for.
Well,
to feed kids.
The truth is, it has other uses. But, people, even though people tend to use it, people tend to feel very weird talking about it as well. It's just a natural thing because some people feel it's inappropriate. Some people don't even know how to talk about it properly, and so it tends to become sort of like a taboo topic, especially among guys. Most guys will probably end up talking about it among guys, but to have an open conversation that is not centered on something else, but, for example, a woman's health, for example, when you talk about breastfeeding, for example, it's a very cagey topic for most people. And it's just because most guys don't feel necessarily too open to have a conversation about it until and unless you feel like you naturally engage them in that conversation. And it's not necessarily a topic that most guys would openly, meet, for example, watching a soccer game and have a chat about.
But doesn't it directly affect their children and the mother of their child?
There are other things that affect the child. For example, the clothing of the child. There are so many different things that affect the child. So, it can be anything. It can be anything. And I think that sometimes, even though it might not be such a comfortable topic, that is why technology makes things a little easier. So instead of necessarily having a big conversation about it, you can just use technology to get around it or try to understand what exactly is going on. And that's the whole point of today's conversation. I just wanted to touch on some of the apps that are available that people can use. These are web resources as well. Some of them come as mobile applications. And these are things that you can use easily every day. It's readily available for you to use to get to understand, first of all, what is happening to your partner, what is happening to your child, and how you can be of assistance of any sort to those two. Because at the end of the day, that's the most important thing. The fact that you can provide a certain level of assistance to those two should be your primary focus. So we are going to see a number of mobile applications and a number of online resources, and just so that, and interestingly, these are resources that are available to both sexes. Anybody can have access to it. And some of them are so good that you can share information with your spouse. So, for example, the woman has the app and she can just basically share the information with you. The first one we'd like to look at is Baby Breastfeeding Tracker.
Ooh.
Baby Breastfeeding Tracker. This is available for free on iOS.
Okay, so if you have an Apple phone,
if you have an Apple phone or you have an Apple device, this basically is available for you. Now, people might say, really, why do you need to track how many times you breastfeed? That tells you the enormity of the problem for most people. Most people don't even understand the need for all of these things to be tracked. For example, which of the breasts should, did you just feed your child on? People don't really see the essence of such conversations. And I think that when you download or when you use some of these mobile applications, it kind of helps you to give you a better sense of what's going on. So we'll be just running through some of the key benefits of especially this particular mobile app. It's really basic. It's basically a baby breastfeeding tracker. It helps you track all manner of things, everything from the weight of the child to which of the breasts that you just breastfed the baby on, to what sorts of quantities you measured with every breastfeeding process, especially if you are not necessarily too particular about those details. This helps you to get into detail. So you can, I mean, these are the benefits of the app. You can track your nursing progress in real time with a timer. You can see detailed and useful nursing progress, most recent nursing, daily averages that you are clocking, cumulative totals and graphs, so you can see over a period of time just exactly what you have been able to do. You can add photos, and you know, one of the things that most people forget is your baby grows really, really quickly.
Yeah.
And with Nisi, that's what I discovered as well. Like you just don't understand how they can move from
infants who
those little cute bubbly humans to
like, Daddy, get out of my way.
Terrorizing little children, and sometimes you miss out on those. And so apps like this, you know, help you to track all of that. You're able to see what the child is up to and things like that.
Okay, which one is this?
The second one is Latch Me.
Latch Me?
Yes, Latch Me is, you know, people have trouble trying to get babies to latch onto the breast properly, to feed properly.
Okay.
And then most often end up complaining about, you know, the baby biting and, you know, all these sore nipples and things like that. Well, this app sort of helps you to be able to do that very well. And it has the resources to be able to get you through those little tricky moments. So it basically helps you to locate even experts in your neighborhood or in your area who could give you some level of assistance. It improves your baby's latching and everything, because it has all these videos that walks you through how you can easily do that. So Latch Me is also one of them. You can just check out that one also on iOS, any iOS device, any if you have an iPad or you have an iPhone, you can check that one out. Some of these are also available on Google Play Store as well.
Nice.
So
I was waiting to hear
so
that
for those of you who don't have that, you can check it out. The next one is Breastfeeding Central. It's a very, very popular
Breastfeeding Central.
Yeah, it's a very, very popular resource that's available online. Now what I like about this is the people who are behind it. These are people who have years of experience as, you know, either nursing mothers themselves or as experts within the field, you know, and they basically pour out their knowledge into the app, and they are always also available to answer questions whenever you have them. And I thought that it was a very, very interesting resource to have if you are someone who's looking for information, especially about breastfeeding, things that confusing you. Because the truth is, no matter how many times you've tried, there are things that will be new to you. You discover new things about your body, you discover new things about your partner, you discover new things about your child, and it's important that you take note of it. So, for example, you get to track you know, some of the difficulties that you typically face. You get to also basically understand what some of the common issues surrounding, you know, the process of having that child is, and these are some of the benefits that you can get.
So I'll read some of the benefits here. So it says benefits of breastfeeding, what to expect the first 4 days, first night home from the hospital, how to make plenty of milk, what to do if baby won't settle after a feeding, caring for a toddler and a new baby, medication and breastfeeding, diet, alcohol, losing your body weight, starting solid foods,
and returning to work. These are common questions that are usually asked on Breastfeeding Central. And I can imagine a number of people who are probably watching this who have faced some of these issues. And these are the common questions that people ask on the app. And as you can see, you know, you will get some of the resources answering most of these things, because it is filled with people who have been through all of this and are basically just giving you advice about how they were able to work around it. And I like it because it's very homey. It almost feels as if you're talking to, you know, like your grandma or something like that. And that's what I really like about the app. And it's a very, very easy resource that people can get to. Now let's get to some others. There's one in particular that I really love, and that's it. What to expect. Now, what to expect necessarily is not a breastfeeding app per se, but it is more than a breastfeeding app. Really? It's like a complete solution if you are either looking to get pregnant, are pregnant, or figuring out what to do in your first year or in the first 2 years of your child coming into your life. You can get resources covering everything from pregnancy to baby products to what to do in the first year to your toddler, what to do with them when they are teething, everything. But of course, there are resources in case you don't know what exactly to feed your child, how to feed your child, all the latching information that you need. Look, everything, this, I personally use this, what to expect. It's like it's been on my phone for like 2 years now.
Wow.
Now, what's one of the things that is really cool is how they're able to calculate like the due date and everything based on when you first notice you're pregnant and everything. This is information about the first year of your child, tracking everything from day 1 all the way to 12 months after your child comes, into your life. You can track literally everything. The baby sleeping, if you're not sure why the baby is sleeping so much or so little, everything basically, information that you need. And what I like about this is it doesn't necessarily give you too much information at a go. It's based on information that you put in. So for example, you're expecting your baby in December or something. It's able to calculate where you are in terms of your pregnancy, and every week it gives you updates based on that moment in time of your life.
Wow.
It gives you a sense of how big your baby, for example, has grown over the period that since you've been pregnant. It gives you information based on how old your child is. So if, for example, your child is in your womb like 6 months, it will give you information that is pertaining to 6 months, 1 week, 6 months, 2 weeks.
Wow.
Every week it gives you information that basically helps you to manage the situation that you're in. And I can imagine that for parents, for grandmas, for anybody in the family who is there to help you raise your child or bring your child into this world and help you bring them up. This is a powerful resource for them. It's available as an app. It's available on the web. It's available on iOS, on Google, whichever one it is. You can download this. What to expect is a mobile app. It's fantastic. It's one of my personal favorite.
Wow.
And of all the apps that we've run through, this is the one that I use I use most often. So I mean, these are just some of the reasons. There are dozens. There are dozens available globally, but these are some of my personal favorites, especially because of the complaints that people have put across, some of the questions that people have asked, and basically my personal usage of some of these mobile applications.
There's a last one that we want to take a look at.
Let's do that.
See
So
one.
This is the simplest of them all. Eat, sleep. There's a diaper there too. Look, it's straightforward. It's exactly what it says.
There's eat, sleep, simple baby tracking app.
It's exactly that.
Eat, sleep, simple baby tracking app.
The eating pattern of your child, the sleeping pattern. It's that simple. It doesn't. It doesn't give you any frills. It's just a basic app.
That's adorable.
Eat, sleep. Time to change diapers. You can add notes if you want to. One of the things also is that it helps you track, as most of the apps do. It just gives you a sense of what the graph looks like over a period, what sorts of things that you've been feeding your baby and things like that. You have a daily journal. I'm not sure how many people really will have the time to fill out the daily journal, but at least it helps.
Yeah.
Especially if you're on leave, maternity leave or something, it helps just to track it. And one of the things that people don't often notice is how quickly your baby grows. And because your baby grows so quickly, sometimes you tend to miss out on some of the key moments. For example, the first time they said hello dada, or something, the first time they crawled, whatever it is. People tend to miss out on these things, and most of these apps help you to capture some of these really, really special moments. And it's easier because at the end of the day, you can just export it into your Gmail, or you can export it into any other service, and you can have all of that record. Your child grows up, you're 5 years old, you can have a big laugh about it. You want to do a special video for your child, you basically have a resource that you can just export, and it has all the dates as and when they were logged, and it's easier for you to make references, and so these are, that's one of the things and advantages of having all these digital tools. You don't need to rack your brain too much to remember when your child first said hello or daddy. You don't need to rack your brain too much to figure out when your child was 2 months, 3 weeks old. You don't need to rack too much. You just go to the app, you just check out the dates, and all the information is there.
Yeah, and I think it's so refreshing actually to know that these apps actually exist. Last week I was having a conversation with my friend who told me that for her first pregnancy, we're now in an urban world. Everybody's coming to ACCRA.
Right.
You have work. when you have a baby, your partner expects you to know what you're doing.
Right.
Sometimes there's no family member to guide you.
True.
So here you are in your early 20s, mid 20s. You're supposed to be excited.
Alone.
And you're lost,
yeah.
Right? And the experience of being a new mother can be so lonely.
It is overwhelming.
And people don't even understand it.
It is overwhelming to say the least. And I mean, you see, it also stems from a number of things, I believe. I think that people enter it with a lot of notions of what to expect, what they think it is. You know, I can do this on my own, I'm okay, I want my baby, you know, to grow up in a special way. But, you know, without a support system, you really are going to struggle. Yeah. And these are just resources. That's what you need to remember. Like, these are just resources. And all they give you, I mean, some of them also remind you the importance of having people physically present in your life to help you along the journey. Yeah. Now, imagine you didn't have a spouse, imagine you didn't have a grandma, imagine you didn't have an aunt, and you're supposed to be keeping track of all these things every day as they happen. When are you going to get the chance to rest, to sleep, to produce more milk? Yeah. Look, you need that support system, but these apps come in to also assist and make everybody's life just a little easier.
Now, Phil, let me ask you, is this an app, or all these apps we've discussed, can you share it with your partner as well, so that perhaps they can take on some of the responsibility of helping you track? So maybe I'm not as detailed as my partner, so he's like, okay, I'm going to help you schedule this so I can remind you. How do we make it more interactive?
So what typically happens with most of these apps is some of them give you the opportunity to sort of share information across, whereby you download the app, your partner downloads the app, and then the two of you connect. So it's like you're sharing resources literally.
Yeah.
Most of them do not allow you to do that, but still give you the opportunity to export the information and data to another person. So for example, you can share information via WhatsApp, you know, you can share information via email and things like that. Most of them give you the opportunity to share you know, some of this information that's available on the app. So for example, if it's 8 months and there's information like critical information that you've just read on the app, you can easily hit the share button and share with your partner via WhatsApp, or you can share it with them via email, depending on which one you know they most likely will easily access. All these apps do give you a sharing possibility. Nice. The only thing, it's not all of them that necessarily connect directly to your partner's app as well. It's not all of them that give you that possibility, but absolutely they give you that sharing option so that both of you can be on the same page. And sometimes it helps, you know, because it's like you can tell yourself as a couple, like every Monday or every morning, I need you to read the app or read the information available on the app. You can read it, someone might have forgotten, you can share the information with them, and you guys can have a conversation about it when you get home. You know, like, you know, so this thing that I read, or this thing that I found out, or this thing that our child is going through, or that I am going through, this is the reason. Is that what you're feeling? This is what I read on the app. Are you feeling exactly the same? Because that is how, or that is what's expected for you to feel, you know. And some of these things you might not realize, but if you're going through something and you are not given a sense of what the characteristics of that particular moment are, you might miss out on certain things. You know, you're supposed to be feeling a certain way. We understand everybody's unique, but there are certain things that generally come with you know, a certain period in time. And if you're not feeling it, maybe it might be time for you to visit a hospital. Maybe it might be time for you to see a specialist. And so some of these things, you know, come up, and then they help to generally put you at ease and give everybody else around you a sense of what you are going through and how they can support you.
Thank you so much, Philip. What did we miss on City Trend last night?
Well, yesterday was rather explosive. It was a thought-provoking conversation with Cecil Nutako. We were talking about the future of learning. We discussed some concepts. No, not necessarily e-learning, but generally the concept of learning and education as two separate concepts. You know, and he said quite a number of profound things. You know, for example, I mean, the fact that education basically has to do with the structure necessarily, and learning is like a continuous everyday process, and sometimes the education and the learning don't go hand in hand because we are too lazy to figure out that the learning process is very, very different, and the education needs to sort of conform with the learning process. So, for example, he talks about how learning in today's world with today's students needs to be adaptive, it needs to be disruptive, it needs to be something that it's personalized to the students. Unlike back in the day where
one size fits all.
30 students sit in one class. Every student now wants to have their own iPad with their own teacher with dreadlocks and things like that. Everybody wants their own customized experience. And I think what he makes reference to is the fact that our educational system has not gotten to the point where we can have that sort of personalized experience. So it takes a lot away from the learning experience for most students. And he advocates seriously that mobile devices, tablets, should be introduced, should be encouraged for students. If a child is going to be distracted by using a mobile device, at least they are learning something. You can give them the resources. For example, if there's an encyclopedia, or they can have a Google Cardboard. It's disruptive, yes, but it's positive disruption, because they can get to, for example, discover the caves in the Himalayas or wherever it is just by using a Google Cardboard. But then if you're just going to draw the Himalayas and the caves in the Himalayas on a blackboard where they can never really visualize, it takes away from that learning experience. And it was a very, very incredible conversation. It's available actually right now as a podcast on Google Podcast, on Spotify Podcast, on Apple Podcasts as well. So those of you who are interested in listening to that particular conversation can head on there and take a listen. Just search for City Trends and then you should be able to find it.
Awesome. Now let's wrap up the apps we've gone through today. So can we go through?
So we've had Latch Me,
which is what helps you with literally
exactly.
Like,
we've had Latch Me. We have had Breastfeeding Central app as one of them. We've had What to Expect. What to Expect is more, it's more comprehensive in what it offers.
The entire planning, if you're now getting ready to be a mother, or
exactly, and even if you're a mother and you're still confused, Eat Sleep. Eat Sleep app is also available. The Eat Sleep app is also available for you to enjoy. And the baby breastfeeding tracker is also available for you. So those are some of the online resources that are available for you to try out and just have a good life.
Yes. And a good baby journey.
A good baby journey, exactly.
And of course, you can get them on iOS or Google Play Store if you have an Android. Thank you so much, Philip Ashong, for being with us. He's host of City Trends on 97.3 City FM. What time can we catch City Trends? On Tuesdays?
On Tuesdays at 7 p.m. Please don't be late.
Exactly 7 p.m. And of course, he's head of production here at CCTV.
Welcome to Entertainment Highlights on Breakfast Daily. My name is Ato Kwamina. A former member of Rough and Smooth music group Ricky Nanajiman, popularly known as Bullet, has revealed that his former group member Akan released a song they recorded before they split without his consent. Speaking to City FM's Kwame Dazi in an exclusive interview, the chief executive officer of Rough Town Records said that the group recorded Amina, a song released by his other half Akan. According to Bullet, Akan took the song without his knowledge. When I wanted to use Midi Wodra for Ebony, I sought permission from Akan and he agreed. But I wrote a song for our group and we never released it. It was called Amina. Akan released it without my consent. Now I cannot even claim it because the song didn't come out and he didn't even tell me if he could use it, he added. Meanwhile, Akan has described all the allegations as false and has promised to speak his truth soon. Child Rights International, a non-governmental organization that is committed to the promotion and protection of the inherent dignity of the child, has asked the police to investigate a nude photo shared by actress Ikuapem Polo on her Instagram page. In a letter signed by the executive director of the organization, Bright Appear, they requested the Criminal Investigations Department of the Ghana Police Service to bring the actress to order. On Tuesday, June 30th, 2020, the actress on Instagram shared a nude photo of herself and a half-naked photo of her 7-year-old son on his birthday. According to her, she decided to go naked to prove to her son that she gave birth to him in the same state and that if he should see her naked lying somewhere, he should not pass by. Rapper Kanye West has celebrated his wife Kim Kardashian on becoming a billionaire after she sold 20% stake of her beauty line to American multinational beauty company Coty. The deal announced on Monday values KKW Beauty at $1 billion, making Kim Kardashian worth $900 million according to Forbes estimates. And that's all for entertainment highlights on Breakfast Daily. My name is ACCRA.
Welcome back. This is Breakfast Daily on CCTV, and it's time for Hello, Mr. President. All week long, we've asked you to send your videos and text to us via our email, hellomrpresidenttv@gmail.com, and our WhatsApp line 0550585832. And you've sent them. If you've not sent in your issues yet, this is an opportunity for you to take out your phones, go into your community, and record problems that are hindering your development as a Ghanaian. We want to see them and hold policymakers accountable. After you record those videos, just send them directly to us at hellomrpresidenttv@gmail.com. You can also send those videos in via WhatsApp to our number 0550585832. We'll now take a look at some of the messages we received from you. Now, is from Sakodia, and he says, our shops and cars were damaged by a huge tree that fell on them about a month ago during a rainstorm. NADMO officials and the Korowa Municipal Assembly came to the scene at Nungwa C5 and promised us relief items, but none were delivered. The officials didn't give us an audience even when we followed up. Mr. President, we want to know how NADMO relief items are distributed. So we'll take a look at exactly what happened there a month ago. So there you see it, a massive tree falling on people's cars, falling on people's shops. The people themselves shared their frustrations with us. We'll take a look at that. So there you have it, innocent residents going about their business. A tree falls on their cars, on their shops. Luckily, they all made it out alive. But what is the protocol for NADMO to come in and assist them? We'll be talking to the PRO of NADMO shortly, George AEC. He's going to be walking us through it. But another resident also had an issue with this tree. We'll take a look at what they had to say.
I'm one of the affected persons at Nungwa C5 where the tree fell on our shops. Yeah, my own is a barbering shop. It has really damaged my things, my glasses. In fact, it's really a barbering and a boutique. It has really damaged my things. And fortunately for us, not more people, when we called and they came and cut the trees. But after that, they told us we hear from them. The next day we went to the office. We met the coordinator he told us, me and my sister, one of the affected persons too, he told us that, is that the case that you people are here? You will be walking up and down for a year, you will not get anything. In fact, we were worried because at this COVID-19 time, we don't have anything in our pocket. Business are slow. So as a public servant told us that thing, I mean, that word coming from a public servant, I was just like, wow, it's amazing. How come a public servant told us such a thing, such word? I was worried, and my sister said, well, let's go. So we went, we came back to put our hands together, find our ways and means to repair, to raise our shop back. Up to now, we have not heard anything from them. So please, we are appealing for you to help us. To help us. We don't have anywhere to go. This is where we find our ends meet. So please.
So there you have it. This problem could have happened to any one of us. I mean, there's a rainstorm, there's a massive tree there. You happen to just park your car next to the tree. The next thing you know, the tree has destroyed your car, or your shop happens to be near that tree. It has destroyed your shop. What exactly are the steps that you can take? Because NADMO is responsible for ensuring that, you know, whatever disasters we have, they come in not only during the disaster, but before the disaster even happens and after the disaster happens. That's exactly why they are called the National Disaster Management Organization. So how do they manage situations like this where citizens just happen to be at the wrong place at the wrong time and find themselves as victims of just natural disaster? So we'll take a look at the text we received again and read exactly what the viewer wanted the nation to hear as far as this tree and what has happened to their shops and their cars. So as you see there, he says, our shops and cars were damaged by a huge tree that fell on them about a month ago during a rainstorm. A very normal thing for your shop to be at a place where there's a rainstorm. There's nowhere you're going to move your shop to or your car to be there, but you won't expect a tree to fall on your property. NADMO officials and the Kwawa Municipal Assembly came to the scene at Nungwa C5 and promised us, this is the key word, they promised us relief items. So these people wouldn't be looking forward to any form of assistance if they were not promised these relief items. But none were delivered. The officials didn't give us an audience even when we followed up. Mr. President, we want to know how NADMO relief items are distributed. We're still trying to get a hold of the PRO of NADMO. We'll take a look at these videos. The first video shows exactly what happened in that community in Nungwa a month ago, and then we'll follow it up with the people who experienced this disaster themselves, sharing their stories with us.
That goes for buy, say, or move a wire, or inside an free show. Or more free show, no name, some bad wire. Almost is a be anyone, or move at media mine. Your office won't so, or see us and control and or the atom now. I call pay for who know more do no to media wire. And teenagers say, Yan, every yarn, to me, I say, you're going to pay for a amateur. Mumwai, Mushana Mumwai, ACCRA won't be able to make a universal. I guess I have no tear, yeah, you cannot say, but yeah.
I'm one of the affected person at Nungwa C5 where the tree fell on our shops. Yeah, my own is a barbering shop. It has really damaged my things. My glasses, in fact, it's really a barbering and a boutique. It has really damaged my things. And fortunately for us, not more people, when we called them, they came and cut the trees. But after that, they told us we hear from them. The next day, we went to the office. We met the coordinator. He told us, me and my sister, one of the affected persons too. He told us that, is that the case that you people are here? You will be walking up and down for a year. We will not get anything. In fact, we were worried because at this COVID-19 time, we don't have anything in our pocket. Business are slow. So as a public servant told us that thing, I mean, that word coming from a public servant, I was just like, wow, it's amazing. How come a public servant told us such a thing, such word? I was worried, and my sister said, well, let's go. So we came back to put our hands together, find our ways and means to repair, to raise our shop back. Up to now, we have not heard anything from them. So please, we are appealing for you.
So there you have it. We have the PRO of NADMO, George AEC, on the line with us. Good morning, Mr. AEC.
Yeah, good morning.
How are you?
I'm good.
Thank you so much for being with us. What exactly happened in Nungua C5 a month ago, and you know, have you heard of it? What's the protocol for helping people like this?
Madam, I can barely hear you. I cannot hear you. I'm sorry.
Okay, we're going to work on it now. Can you hear me?
Yeah, it comes and goes off. So
okay, so we're going to...
I can hear you.
Perfect. So we received a message from a viewer who says that their shops and cars were damaged by a huge tree a month ago during a rainstorm. It happened at Nungua C5. Someone from NADMO came there and promised them relief items. They've not heard from NADMO. They've been trying to get you to respond to them, and they've not heard anything from your office.
Yeah, thank you, my sister. Good morning to your viewers. Yes, NADMO goes through certain processes to determine whether a victim of a disaster actually deserves a relief item, and what kind of relief item that they ought to be given. What we do in the immediate is that we dispatch people there because it's a tree fell on their assets or properties, a car and others. The NADMO will come there, get machines to cut the trees off and take them off the property. Then assessment is made before we come in. If the incident affected your livelihood, it affected your livelihood. By livelihood would mean the source of your income and other things that put food on your table. Then that is where we're going to look at it. And then in the immediate, if we have to bring you some relief items like rice, oil, and other things to keep you going for some time for you to put yourself back. In the process of building back better, we encourage you to do that. We give you some support. Sometimes we say, from what I saw, the picture I saw, the picture video, because it's a kiosk and others, we expect NADMO maybe to have brought them roofing sheets and others. Not for the detail, I know they know that we are not going to deal with that one. But the kiosk is what they may be expecting, maybe roofing sheets and others. There are processes. If they look at that and it's not that damaged and you are simple, we encourage you to do that. If there's a general storm that rips off school buildings, a lot of homes and so that one generally would get officials to come and support. But if in our assessment we believe you can, with just a lot of support, you can put your facility back, we do that. Because we are not in the business of helping or supporting you to go back completely. That is not what we do. We just give you relief so that you'll be able to get back on your feet and then go on with your life. The other aspect too, if it's ascertained that your facility, that kiosk was a loan facility taken from a bank, We encourage people to get insurance for their products and co. Then if you go back to the bank will then come to NADMO for a report to authenticate that indeed there is a report with NADMO that facility was damaged as a result of a rainstorm or a tree falling or something. That is when then the bank will have an arrangement with you to relax your terms of payment and other things. That's the bank do. And NADMO, they take a report from NADMO to support that decision.
Okay, Mr. Isi, thank you for that. But the young man who was in the video earlier, Justice, said that a NADMO official from the Krowa office actually told them that they can come to NADMO for a year if they want to. They won't receive anything. When NADMO is ready, they will call them. So it seems as though even your officials were not empathetic with how they engaged these people who are already suffering a loss because of this natural disaster.
Oh, is that our official promise will give them something?
No, initially your official said they will come and provide some relief items. When they went to the office at Krowa to follow up, one of the employees there actually told them they can come there for a year. No one is going to respond to them till NADMO feels like addressing them when they are ready.
Well, it's unfortunate they spoke to them the way they did. It's unfortunate. We don't encourage our staff to be rude to victims of disaster. We don't do that. In fact, you chose the right word. We ought to be empathetic and empathize with them. That is what we train our people to do. And so if somebody spoke the way they claim the person did, it's unfortunate. And maybe if we get official report, we will know what to do to put such stuff in order. And again, the assessment, you see, before relief is given, is based on our assessment.
So what goes into the assessment exactly? Because they are listening to you now and they would want to know what goes into the assessment for a situation like this.
If they say A, B, C is what is damaged and therefore we need to support with that, that is what we will do. It's not what you expect, but what our officers report and recommend that based on their assessment, these are the needs that they think immediately we should give you. That is what we do. And so you may be expecting things, but what report our officers bring is what they're going to go by and then give those support. And sometimes if immediately it's not there, they resort to the regional office and then they are given those relief items so they can support the victims.
But Mr. Isi, is it the norm? Sorry for the feedback.
So sometimes it takes a little bit of time, but ultimately we send the support. But if it delays, it's problematic, I understand. But to get our officers talking the way they claim they spoke is unethical, and we don't encourage that.
So, Mr. Isi, is it a norm for your officials to promise relief items before you've done the assessment to know exactly how you're going to help these victims?
I'm surprised an officer will do that. You go, you do the assessment, write your report, then you bring it. Okay, at the district level, the team will sit down and look at it. They go through the processes, assess it, and then they see that, okay, A, B, C, D. The assessment must be done and a decision taken before you can tell them we are bringing you A, B, C. You don't go promising. We don't do that. NADMO doesn't do that. You will see that A, B, C is damaged. You remember the Adabraka area, the flooding. Somebody's livelihood, flour and coal, were also sugar was soaked in the water. So I cannot stand there immediately and tell you, we'll bring you flour and sugar. No. We'll do certain assessment and then know whether you didn't even follow certain processes of safekeeping of your items and co.
Okay, Mr. Isi, so what's the way forward for the people of Nungwa C5?
We have like to come and support. So you don't promise anybody. You do your assessment based on the assessment report. We'll go to give the support.
Okay, thank you very much. What's the way forward? How are we going to solve this issue they have of being victims of a natural disaster and still not hearing back from NADMO on exactly how you're going to assist them to move forward?
Yeah, thank you. I'm happy you said initially some of those victims went to our office. That's the right thing to do, to make a follow-up. they are to be patient. I know when you are a victim of a disaster, the matter patience doesn't actually come in. But our officers should also be professional in our approach to our work. Let's engage the victims because they are in pain. And so if you say anything unpalatable, it aggravates the situation. Let's know how to relate with these victims, and then let's follow the process. If we've concluded in our assessment that they have to be given A, B, C, D. Let's follow the process to get it for them.
Okay, Mr. Isi, would National take up this matter since the Krowa Municipal Assembly has clearly failed to assist these victims?
Okay, that is what we need to do. And so if at the level they don't have the items, they need to write the report up to the headquarters.
Okay.
The Director General will order or instruct that those items. If we don't have them, we may ask them to be.
So they should follow up with the headquarters of NADMO, and then you would assist them. Okay. So what you're saying is they should follow up with the headquarters of NADMO if the Krowa Municipal Assembly level has failed them, and then you will follow up with them. Is that clear?
Yeah, if the Krowa is still, no, they will go to the regional office of NADMO.
Okay.
That is where they need to go. Now, but the Krowa district director should go there if they don't have the set item. If their report says they need to give them those support, and they don't have it at Krowa, they need to go to the regional office. The regional director will do that for them.
Okay, so we'll be following up with how they are going to get the results they need, and also follow up with you on what your men should be doing in situations like this where people are already frustrated and the way they communicate with them. Thank you very much, Mr. Isi, for being with us.
I trust you to do that. I trust you.
And thank you at home for staying for Hello, Mr. President. If you have any issues in your community, you know what to do. Take out your phone, record a 1-minute video, send those videos to what? At hellomrpresidenttv@gmail.com, and every Wednesday we will share it with our viewers. And our WhatsApp line is 0550-585832. We'll go for a quick break and then continue Breakfast Daily. Welcome back. It's Breakfast Daily on City TV.
Yeah, well, it's been a good day so far.
First day of July.
Yes, I know. I'm going to see how the voters registration is going on, and then bring you hopefully get you some experiences as well from there today. But I trust that you've enjoyed your day with us, and thank you very much for watching the show with us this morning. If you missed any segment, kindly go over to your YouTube page, CityTube. You'll find all the different segments over there.
My name is Jifa Ikuya Amata.
And I'm David Kwekusechi.
Stay safe, go out there, register so that we can all vote in December. We'll see you at 7:30 tomorrow.
Take
Goodbye.
care.